We use developmental phases, so depending on the child's age, there are different developmental needs. There are different, for example, if it's a young infant, generally biologically, that child needs to spend a little bit more time if the mother's breastfeeding, etc., with the mother. But that doesn't mean that the father's involvement isn't just as important. And so you can get creative with how that interaction is happening. But the biggest impact on children is the conflict. So that's really where we focus first, is making sure that the parents are set up to minimize that child's exposure to the conflict. Two-household living, divorce is not the negative experience for the child. What causes the damage is the high conflict. And so that's really where we focus, is building the tools for that family, because the child's needs are going to evolve. I always say, if we send people out just parenting off of a 10-page parenting plan out of Weaveworks, we failed. There's a lot more decisions when it comes to parenting, and so what we do is foreshadow for those parents how to do that. How much a child costs when they're 5 or under versus when they're buying a car at 16. All of those needs are constantly evolving each year. And so we suggest that parents get in the habit, much like a business, of coming up with an agenda, budgets, planning each year. And so getting in a cadence where you're practicing talking and making parental decisions, not just in crisis, but in a regular format, so they're talking about good things and bad things. So many people, when they divorce, only join together to talk about difficult things, and you're just feeding more and more conflict. And so what we recommend to our families is that they practice, talk about good things, and talk about it in a more formal business setting. When you ask your children to choose, you're asking your child to tear themselves in half. They are half mom and they are half dad, and nothing changes that perspective from a child. And that's really important to remember, that there are multiple perspectives happening from here. And working together as parents is really the obligation. You can undo that role of husband and wife, but you're always mom and dad. And so the more you practice that, the more you understand that that is a role that you have to the child. They'll be okay if you don't put them in the middle. And so the more you can work together, again, not to surprise each other. Children are so perceptive, they're watching facial movements. So for example, talk to each other once you start dating again. Talk to your former partner, your co-parent, about introducing someone to your children before the child delivers the news. The more you work to create a stable platform as co-parents, the better off your children will be.